Blondie's in the front.
As you can see, we're back with relationships, romance, and propaganda. It's okay that we were talking before we started. Again, it's Imani, Shakur, director, actress, author, Rachel K. Burke. And I'm not going to redo this because I don't care. It's a podcast. We just have fun. And as you guys can see, I always say we have the sexiest podcast on the planet. I always say that, and as you can see, we keep it sexy, we keep it consistent.
We upped the sexy today. We got 2 more sexy.
Yeah, today we have Aubrey and Jason with us, this gracious couple.
Hello.
And they are going to shed light on open relationships, open marriages, correct?
Yeah, let's get into it.
That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to give you guys the usual spiel. This is the only podcast where we expose the truth and broadcast the lies. These are Rachel's books. You want to check them out, Google them, Love Bites. What's the other one, Rach?
Sound bites.
It's
so weird doing it from this angle.
Yeah.
We're not used to this, guys. This is a weird intro.
We usually like just facing the camera.
I know, I'm like...
Right, all that good stuff. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, ISNT Group Digital. Thank you for listening where you get your podcasts, iHeart, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes. Thank you all our listeners for tuning in. We love you guys. We're going to keep it going. And email us at rptalktruth@gmail.com. That's what it is. And again, I always tell you guys, I haven't seen Rachel in a month. So, of course, she had some crazy stories.
We got lots of stories.
Because she's sexy and she's going to have crazy stories.
As opposed to those unsexy people.
Stories. Anyway, like I said, we're here with Jason today and Aubrey, and thank you guys for coming.
Of course.
And let me tell you guys how I met these two. For everyone at home that's listening. And see, I don't even think Jason knows the whole story yet.
I don't, but I'm so curious because you spotted us. You spotted us right away.
I'm telling you guys how I met these two. So when I moved here 2.5 years ago, I was told, this is the big swingers community. I was like, oh, I didn't know that.
Really?
It is one of the biggest swingers communities in Southern Temecula. Right.
Really?
Yeah. So one night I ended up getting caught in a swingers situation, which I told them about.
Just by accident. Stumbled into one of those.
I stumbled into one of those. I was at Bailey's. It was a crazy story.
It's
it's
happened to me too.
Yeah, see? So anyway, I meet this girl at this place called Crush and Brew here in town, right? And just like crazy me, crazy Aquarius, she's with like 6 people. And I go straight up to her at the table. And I'm like, hey, what's up? What's your name? Mm-hmm. And her friends go, oh, he just came right up. He didn't even care. It was like 7 of us. And he like, so which is what I'll do. I don't care. I just go approach. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I approached her. We talked for a while. Never really hung out. Never could really plan a date, right? And instead of just telling me, hey, I'm not really interested in this, that, and the other, she's like, I'm not really dating right now. So I actually go out and see her with him.
Oh, wait, you're talking about her?
No, not her.
Oh, I know who. How funny.
Okay.
And I go, oh, I thought you said, I didn't even confront her. I was like, whatever, because it didn't matter.
Yeah.
We didn't even go on the first date.
Oh, man.
We talked for a few times. Yeah. And I was whatever about it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Stole his lady?
No. She wasn't my lady. But I was like, that's a good looking dude. I'm not mad at her because I'm not a hater. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, cool, whatever.
It means you're secure.
Yeah, I'm secure. Then, so scratch that. That's over with. Me and her are still friends to this day. She's
you guys
super
can arm wrestle
cool.
later. It's cool. Yeah,
she loves her. She's been out with us in wine country and met Rachel and all that.
Oh, is it the one I love too?
Yeah.
Oh, I love her.
Oh, she's awesome.
I have like a girl crush on her.
Then me and her are like this now. I know her and you. Boy, we're so cool. Mm-hmm. Anyway. Then,
I don't know anything about this.
I already knew you did. Then I was at Miramonte one day. I mean, the plot thickens. So then I'm at Miramonte.
You see him with a different girl?
No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. I'm at Miramonte one day, and me and these girls are talking or whatever, and this girl's like, "Yeah, I'm swiping on Bumble or whatever. Do you know this guy? Do you know this couple?" And it was him again. I was like, this guy. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so you're on Bumble.
Yeah, Bumble, Tinder.
Then it said open relationship, blah, 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 blah. I said, oh, okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then I saw you two, I think, after that at Wilson Creek one time.
Oh man,
He's like, dude, teach me.
Damn, his girl is fine as a motherfucker. And I intuitively knew that this was your girl, though. I was like, that's his girl. And she's bad as fuck.
Yeah.
Then I saw him again at 1909, and I said, I'm saying something this time.
Yeah.
So I'm standing there, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's Jason, that's the same dude. You know what I mean? That's his wife.
Jason gets around.
And I actually walk up to them and I go, you guys don't know me, but I know you. That's what I was saying.
Yeah. It's a good opener.
Okay.
Anyway, so that's how it all happened. And I asked them to be on the show, and we hung out later that night at Bailey's, and they kind of shed light
But at what point,
on their lifestyle.
I was going to say, at what point did they tell you that night?
Yeah.
It was right away.
It was right away.
Straight out.
It was straight out.
Yeah, because you came up to us and said, I know you guys.
Yeah.
And you kind of alluded to
that community, yeah.
thinking we were
Yeah.
going to open things.
Yeah.
So we immediately.
So you knew
like,
already.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we just thought, oh, that's cool. Whatever we're putting off is working.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
knew because of the Bumble thing with the other girls in Miramonte.
Okay.
And then with Heather, too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, I shouldn't have said her name.
There's a lot of those. There's a lot
She
of
doesn't
common
care
name.
anyway.
No, she doesn't.
She actually knows you guys are going to be on the show, too.
Oh, cool.
Heather doesn't care. She's like, oh, they're amazing. Yeah, put them on the show. Anyway, that's how it happened. And they were gracious enough to come on today. And I had a lot of questions that night over at Miramonte, at Bailey's, you know, and I have a lot of questions today too that will hopefully
I
get
did
answered.
too. I wrote some of mine down.
Yeah, everybody at home, if you ever wondered about this, how you do this successfully, you're gonna find out today.
Yeah, because
so let's get
I
into
only
it.
have
Who
like
wants to jump it off?
I only have like one good friend couple that do this. So I'm curious if you guys have like similar, you know what I mean, like
Right.
rules and all of that.
Right.
Because I think every
Right.
relationship's probably different.
Yeah, ask away.
Same
Whatever.
as monogamous relationships. There's no two alike.
Right.
Right,
So,
exactly.
right,
It's the
You
same
know,
thing.
There's people that we don't identify with at all in
Yeah.
their lifestyles.
Yeah, see? So before they dig deep, let me just say this up front. Jason is a better man than me because if I had a girl with this fly, she shouldn't be touching nobody. And I told him that the night we met too. And the girl I'm seeing now, she won't be touching nobody. You know what I'm trying to say? And I just don't get it.
Not after we're done talking.
Yeah, and I cram to understand how they do what they do.
Well, that's what you
So I'm gonna
said
learn today.
because we talked about this on a different episode, and he was like, "I want to bring someone in and just get inside that mindset of
Yeah, which is how you
because
go
he's so
through it.
territorial of
Yep.
women he
Yeah.
dates. He's like, I don't want any other guy touching her."
Kissing my girl.
But I said, like, with my friend, and you might be different, but it actually turns him on when
Oh,
his
yeah.
wife is with other people.
Definitely.
And he watches videos of it, like, and all of that, like she'll send him videos of herself
Yeah.
sleeping with other guys, and that gets him off. Yeah.
Oh
so
yeah,
it's
that's really hot.
yeah. So he's the same.
Yeah. See? So Jason, let's start with you. How
Sure.
did you get into this to the lifestyle? I would call it, I guess, the community.
Jeez, where to start? I mean, I've always been very sexual. I've known that. I felt guilty about having that because I have the perfect wife, and I know that I have, but I couldn't turn off that primal desire when you see a woman walk by. Like I feel it. I want to know them, and even just on an energy basis, like people walk by, and I feel like I want to know them. Sometimes it's just like an energy, like a pull towards people, and so it started with. Well, I told you I was shot.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a catalyst for change in my life. You know, just feeling like, am I living the way that I want to live? Am I really getting all out of life that I can be?
Right.
We started expressing some sexual desires to each other. Have you heard of the show Westworld?
Yeah, I heard of Westworld. I haven't seen it though.
It's a show, basically. It's a fantasy show where you can go live out your wildest fantasies.
Okay.
I asked her what some of hers were, and her responses really surprised me. And I was like, let's do those things. You know,
Right.
it involved other people.
Right.
And so then the chatter started. We started talking about how do we do
Were
this.
you already married at this point?
For 7
years.
7 8 years, yeah.
So you didn't get into this until you had already been married for 8 years.
Right.
Oh, interesting.
8 years,
That was one of the things I
daughter.
was going to ask
Yeah.
you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
monogamous for 8 years.
Oh wow.
in the beginning, it was highly based on sexual check the boxes. Let's have a threesome. Let's try some different things. Try a girl, this and that. And just in time, we saw that the connections we were making with people were so special to us that it goes beyond just physical sex. You know, we started having feelings for people. So that's a whole nother animal I'm sure we'll get into.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how this thing started. You know, little by little, we've made, we've, had threesomes and met couples and got to the point where we do things separately, and just little by little, we've made gains along the way.
And well, it's funny you say that, because my friend who does this, he's also in Aries, and he's in an open marriage. But I always say that about him. I feel like he falls in love with every girl he meets. You know, he has so much love in him that, I mean, he loves his wife to death, no doubt. But I don't think he could ever be with just one woman. You know, I think they got married. Obviously, he was in love with her at the time, and I think he kind of proposed on a whim. But, you know, he said over time, if he had to be monogamous, he didn't think that they would have lasted. Do you think it's made your relationship stronger?
Oh, way stronger.
Right?
I can't imagine life without this
I think
woman.
it's made our relationship bulletproof.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, there's just nothing we can't talk about. You know, people say, oh, my husband, my wife's my best friend. People are always saying that. And the truth is, most of us don't tell our best friends everything.
Right.
Even the people you call your best friends. Like, we tell each other everything. So there's nothing we can't talk about. If we can talk about sex and love and all that, why can't we talk about finances? Why can't we talk about death? Why can't we talk about all those other things that can destroy a marriage? You know, it's out there.
Yeah.
It's on the table. It's radical transparency. So it's hard to imagine, you know. So when we started to evolve to a place where it was less sex and even kind of fear-based into connections and energy and just seeking out what's pulling you, like what in the world is drawing you in. It's hard to imagine anything that would draw me in more than him.
Well, I know, because I was just thinking that too as you were saying that. Like, do you guys ever worry that one of you is going to fall in love with somebody else, you know, or anything like that?
I want her to. I want her to love the people she's with.
I guess what does that mean? You know, falling in love with somebody else?
To the point that that you would love that person more than your own partner or leave them.
That's a good question.
So I think the way, can I speak on that?
Have it.
So the way I think we see that is, because we've had this conversation. We've had 1,000 conversations. For every conversation we're going to have here, we've probably had that 100 times at home, and then however many beyond that. So everything we've ever done, we debrief, we talk. So if there ever came a point where either of us fell in love in a way that pulled us away from each other, where my life no longer feels like I should share it with him, or he feels like he shouldn't share his life with me anymore, that's my decision to make. That's his decision to make. I don't ever want to keep him in a marriage under obligation, out of legalities. It should be his choice. So as soon as he starts choosing somebody else over me, then that's his choice.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. I don't want that to happen. It's kind of laughable because I can't imagine it.
Right.
Because he'd be a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
You can. Stupid
the best.
to run away with anybody, but he wouldn't ever be one running away. You know, he would never be lying and deceiving me and then disappearing. It would be an evolution where I probably saw it coming, and I would.
So but you want to know what's funny about you guys saying all that? I think the one thing every couple dreads is being cheated on or being physical with someone else. So I think that if you have that in check, what else can really go wrong? At least that's the way I see it.
Right.
Yeah, I can expand on that too, because really that's really the thing that most couples struggle with is feeling jealousy and feeling like the cheating. So if you break it down like this, people try to possess people, and I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with the guy that says you can go out with your girlfriends. You can do whatever the hell you want. That's your life. So I want nothing but good things in her life. I want her to be so happy. If there's something that she desires that makes her happy, why would I ever stop that because of my own insecurity, right? So I try to, like, when I have a problem, because my friends will say, you're so lucky you're not jealous. I'm jealous. Trust me, I have those issues. I'm just like every other guy in the world, but I try to internalize those problems, change my perspective. And am I jealous because the guy has a bigger dick? Am I jealous because he's more handsome or has more money? Those are my problems, not her problems. Right. So if she wants something that's going to
make her suffer because of your insecurities.
Why would I stand in the way of her happiness, and vice versa? So it ultimately comes down to, like, I just want her to be happy in whatever capacity that is. Whatever she wants, she can have it. Some really good friends of ours gave us some knowledge. Dave and Amy, they said, we don't stay together because I'm getting choked up talking about it.
It's all right. We're keeping it real.
We don't stay together because we said vows. We don't stay together because, I put a ring on your finger. We stay together because every day I wake up with the intention of being with you, and I make that choice to be with you. So every day I want to give her a reason to pick me.
Right.
And it feels great.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's
a
how
great
relationships
perspective to have.
last. Yeah,
that's
because I said that to you before, because my dad had said this to me, and it was one of those things that always stuck out. Was he said marriages fall apart because you stop putting the other person 1st,
Yep.
right? So I think every day you need to put that other person first. And when one person stops and they're only looking out for themselves, that's when relationships go to shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and there's all these, negative emotions that we all, I think, suffer with. So when you were talking about cheating, cheating, you can cheat in a card game.
Right.
And cheating involves lying and
Right.
deceiving
That's what I was
and
gonna say.
manipulating.
Yes.
You can cheat in a lot of different facets. But so sometimes we'll catch that question of like, oh, it's just an excuse to cheat on each other. It's actually not what we're doing at all. We're not
Right.
lying, we're not cheating, we're not deceiving, we're not doing
Right.
any of that. We're doing everything together.
Right.
So there's nothing that's done, even if we're
Right.
separate, he knows everything, I know everything,
Right.
we keep in
It's
touch.
only cheating if you don't know and you're
Right,
actually
that-
deceiving
right.
the other person.
Right, because
Exactly.
cheating,
Right.
it's. I think people get upset about cheating not because of the physical aspect
Right.
of it, but because of the lying,
Right.
the
Mhm.
betrayal. Because you're
Yeah.
not being honest with
Right.
the one person you're supposed to be honest
Right.
with.
Right.
And it's not like we were born with this mentality. I used to feel like, oh, I don't want to be cheated on. I don't like the idea of him touching anybody.
Yeah.
It totally got to me. Yeah. But then I kind of learned how to discern what I was taught to feel versus what I actually feel.
That's what I was going to say. I think we were all, as a society, taught to be monogamous.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
if you study the history of marriage,
Yeah,
and all
monogamy
that
is
kind of
fairly
stuff,
recent.
Monogamy is
Yeah.
fairly recent.
It's only
Right.
been around, what, a few hundred
Exactly.
years,
You
I
know what I
think.
mean?
Yeah.
Right. The institution of marriage used to be
Yeah.
about land, property,
Exactly.
heirs. It wasn't this. A marriage is supposed to take care of everything.
Right.
Right.
And I mean, just speaking on like a primal level, if you go to the gym or somewhere where you see you're married, you're committed, and you see somebody like Rachel walk by, and like, "Ooh," of course, you can't look at her. You can't not look at her. But now, if
Exactly.
you're married, if you're committed,
You're like, "Oh, I
and you're not
can't look
supposed
at
to, then now you feel guilt immediately
Yeah.
because you're not supposed to be doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
And then now you have to deceive your spouse because you felt something that
Yep.
you're not going to go home and tell your spouse.
Yep.
You feel angry.
Yep.
If you do tell your spouse, she's going to get angry.
Resentment, yep.
She's going to get jealous. So, there's just this like flood of emotions. So I think once we just, started to develop this understanding of how we feel, it's nice to be free of any of that.
Yeah.
So when you're asking about, what if he falls in love? What if I fall in love? It's like we just don't really live in like the fear of what if.
Right.
If we lived in the fear of what if, we wouldn't be living the way we wanted to live. We
Yeah.
wouldn't be
Right.
having all these really amazing connections.
Also, love is the best feeling in the world, right? Like we all want love. Why is it that society has taught us like we have to give that to just this one person?
right.
We're so quick to love our
Unless
friends.
you're related to
Right.
them,
Yeah.
so quick to
or
be
they're
like,
a friend.
I love you. It's your
There's-
friend.
Right.
But as soon as you have any sexual or romantic feelings towards that person, you're not allowed to love them.
Right.
Right.
That's a good point.
Yeah, there's women in my life that I love.
Yeah.
They don't match the love that I have for her. Nobody replaces her spot. Like
Right.
she's my one and only. That's like the truest love. There's other people I love. I would do anything for them, but they're not Aubrey.
Yeah.
Right.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
There's a quote by Osho where he says, "If you love a flower, don't pick it because once you pick it, it will die and it won't be that thing you fell in love with. If you love a flower, leave it and just appreciate it."
Let it grow, yeah.
So I just want to appreciate her. Love is about appreciation, not possession. And I think that's where society has it twisted. Honestly, I know what we're doing is like weird and kind of taboo to a lot of people.
It's only weird to people who don't understand it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think most of that, it's fear-based and it's insecurity, because like I've talked to my mom about my friends and she's like, that's just wrong. But my mom is like
What
the
to say.
epitome of a girl hater, like, because, she has a lot of insecurity and issues with other women. So she's the first one to rip apart like an actress on TV.
Right.
Oh, she looks terrible or something. And it's all insecurity.
Yeah.
It's all fear-based.
Yeah, and the old school moms, I mean, I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, so I told my mom, you guys are coming on. She was like, what, boy? Trinidadian accent.
Yeah.
What in the world?
Yeah.
How could they do that?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, Mom, please just watch the podcast.
'Cause people just don't
People
understand
just don't
it.
understand it.
Yeah, and there
You
are
know
there
what
are
I
double
mean?
standards even in this lifestyle. There's the couples where the guy is okay allowing a girl into the relationship, but I'm not going to let you be with the guy.
Right.
I've heard of that.
We don't speak the same language. That guy's on another planet for me because to me, you're being possessive. You're
Right.
telling a person what they can and can't do.
Yeah, well, that actually happened to me because my ex, I think, wanted to do this idea because I had told him about my friends, and I think because he got married young, he didn't really have a lot of experiences. But I said, you know what, let's test it out. I was going away for like a month to Europe, so I said, do whatever you want. Go out with girls, sleep with them, do whatever you want. I'm going to do what I want. As soon as I slept with somebody else, he went bonkers.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was like I think in his mind he wanted to do it. He couldn't handle it if I did it.
Right.
Yeah. And that's all guys usually are. If you talk to most men outside of you guys' lifestyle, they'll say, "Oh yeah, man, I don't want her to beat anyone else." But
or women too.
I'll get some side trim, like you know what I'm saying. But then when it comes to that girl getting side trim, it's a problem.
Right.
It's just
Yes.
selfish. It's totally selfish, and so I have a problem when we meet couples like that. I'm like, we're not at the same place.
Right.
Which if it works for them, awesome. They're
Not
good
the
for
same
them.
level,
If the girl is cool with that and lets the guy just do that and this, that, and the other,
Right.
Yeah, we like to call it an honest relationship. I know there's like all these labels. People are like, "What are you? Are you a swinger?"
Right.
Swinger sounds like you just want to go fuck everybody with reckless
Exactly.
abandon.
And a swinger sounds like the 70s.
Yeah, or poly. Are you poly? I don't know. Do you live in a commune and wear Birkenstocks and tie-dyed shirts and fuck old people? Like, I don't know. Poly sounds weird too. I don't know. They just have these connotations that it's really hard to identify all that we've built into one word.
All these labels.
So the word I choose is honest because I tell her everything.
That's good.
We're so honest with each other.
Yeah, I like that phrase.
So I have a question. When you guys first met, when you got married, so could you have done this then?
No way.
Right.
Not
So
at all.
something you had to evolve and grow into.
Oh,
It's a maturity.
How long have
thing.
you been married?
Almost 11 years.
Well, we've been married almost 9. And
Married. Yeah,
we've been
together
married
11.
almost.
Together 11 and married 9.
Married 9.
So you've been open for like 3 years, essentially.
like a little over 2.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a lot of conversation before we actually
Yeah.
opened it up. So I would say there's probably 9 months of just kind of talking and,
Okay.
We broke the
sitting
seal.
down. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Which was fun.
And then it was a very gradual, now that we've been open 2.5 years or so, what we were when we first started versus what we are now is obviously very different. So.
Now I have a really good question. You know how they talk about the 7-year itch or the 9-year itch and stuff like that. Some would say, and I'm only playing relationship devil's advocate. Some would say, well, when they got to that point, they just figured out a way to fix that.
I'm glad you asked it.
You know what I'm saying?
I've just always had the itch, period.
Right.
Like, it's not the 7-year. I'm just fucking itchy all the time.
Hold on, let's not talk about itching too much when we're talking about
metaphorically
sex.
speaking, right? Metaphorically
Right.
speaking. I got.
He doesn't have any itch.
As a
But no, you know what? For us, it wasn't about like repairing something. It
I'm not saying
wasn't.
that's what you guys did, but
No,
someone listening
a
would be
lot of
like,
people-
Well, Imani, I had the 7 years. They just fixed it in a certain way. By the
Yeah.
time I got bored, you know what I'm saying?
They're
I'm not
gonna-
saying you got bored. I'm just asking.
No,
the
I
question.
would say what's interesting about the 7-year itch is it must be around that time that a lot of marriages recognize that they've really built something. Like we're not in the honeymoon phase. We have a life. We've probably, blended our finances, our homes. We have a family. There's all this thing that evolves in about by 7 years. You have a very either stable or unstable situation. So
Yeah.
you kind of have to reevaluate. So it's the same as like if you buy a house. You buy a house, probably 7 years in, you're going to have to start doing some updates.
Yeah, some maintenance.
And I think what's cool about the 7-year itch, if you embrace it, is taking it as like tearing your house down and leaving maybe the foundation. And the wall standing and then customizing it and rebuilding. So if you can think of it like that, so I've seen friends, I'm 35, so it's about the time a lot of my friends are getting divorced or there's trouble in the water in a lot of situations. And it always bums me out when I see a couple that I feel like really have a good foundation and they don't make it through that.
Yeah.
Whether it's a 7-year itch or an affair or whatever, the things that threaten us. If you just kind of go a little bit past that and you walk through it, there's that scripture, walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
Yeah.
And we hear a lot with...
Thought that was just a Coolio song.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I think that's my life. And most of the time, it's dangerous minds. But but there's that scripture, and it usually pertains to like death, literal death. But I heard one time, if you think of the saying as "I walk through the valley of the shadow of death," you don't make camp in the valley.
Right.
You walk through it and see what's on the other side. So. We've had a 7-year itch, so to speak. I mean, we have had times where we didn't know if we were going to make it prior to being open. And through that came a lot of conversation about sex, because I think, again, sex is such a taboo conversation. It's like we get married because we have this like sexual pull and then we fall in love and then we have to shut all that down because now we're married and married people don't have sex. Where sex is like one of the most powerful energies you can possess.
Right.
And it can go, it can be, if you, what's the word I'm looking for? You can either harness it or you can subdue it. And if you do that, if you hold your sexual energy in, usually it goes in a negative place, because who can do that? Who can have who can hold that sexual energy in and expect it to go into a good place? It doesn't have like a lockbox in there that's like, okay, I'm done. No. Usually that goes somewhere. So if you use your sexual energy positively, then I think it can be one of the more powerful energies. So I think when I go to the gym, I typically wear like this kind of thing. And I don't know what the other women are thinking. I'm not particularly dressing for anybody. I'm just going to the gym, and I tend to lift heavier weight. I tend to work harder when I feel sexy. You know, I feel sexy, and I'm like, bah! So,
because you have that energy.
Right. So we started talking about sex, and I think around that time I wasn't as sexually open as he was, and I was more fearful that if we started having conversations about fantasies and about involving other people, even though we're having the conversations, if we cross that line, we can't undo it. You know, if we do something in our marriage, how do we get it back? What if it ruins our marriage? And he said, if we do something we don't like it, we never do it again. And if we try something mutually and it breaks us apart, we're probably not what we thought we were in the first place. So it made it really easy to just kind of go, okay.
Yeah, because I think if you have a solid foundation, you can, essentially get through anything if you both work at it. So I told him this before, but my mom over the summer married her ex-husband. They hated each other for like 20 years. They had a terrible marriage, split up. I think they both thought the grass was going to be greener. It wasn't. And then they rekindled, and it's totally different.
Wow.
So cool.
It's amazing, because it used to be like, oh God, we can't go to my mom's house. He's home.
Give me goosebumps.
We had to go out.
I like that.
And all of a sudden they got back together. And at first we were like, oh no. I was like, Mom, don't do it. You were so unhappy. But honestly, now it's like the party house. Now we party there, we barbecue, we were having Christmas parties. And their relationship is so much different now than it was.
Yeah.
So you can, even when it feels like it's hopeless and there's nothing you can do, I think you can come out on the other side if you really do love each other and you have that foundation.
If you both want it.
But you have to grow as people, and you have to grow together. And that was the thing, is it was a very controlling thing before, and there was jealousy and there was insecurity. And I think they both kind of grew as people with that time apart. I think it can happen.
Absolutely. I think if each party can take accountability for whatever, good, bad, or indifferent. Just take accountability for your participation.
Yes, because marriages fail not because of one person, but because of,
because the argument happening that's like pointing fingers at the other person, where you're never hearing each other because you're just pointing fingers.
Yes.
So
and you're talking
the finger at you.
Right, you're talking at each other. No one's listening.
Yeah, there's some things he's probably told me over the years that I'm like, I don't want to hear that. But it plants a seed, and I have to, digest and absorb. He's pushed me out of my comfort zone more times than I can count.
Which is what life is all about.
Yeah,
that's where the magic happens.
If I say no to something, and I'm not talking about lifestyle, I just mean say no to something. He'll say, well, but why? I'm like, ugh. I said no.
I get excited when something bothers me to my core. If I feel jealousy, I'm like, fuck yeah, let's figure this out. Like, I'm going to get in there. I'm going to figure out why I'm jealous. And I'm going to fix it. Because 9 times out of 10, it's my own problem.
Always.
It's not her problem.
Right. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, because I always say that, like, you shouldn't punish someone else for your own issues or your mistakes or, anything like that. Because I had an ex who had cheated on me, and he was so afraid that like karma was going to come back around and then I was going to cheat on him, or it was like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so he was so afraid I was going to leave him or cheat on him that I left him because he drove me insane.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it was like, I'm being punished for your mistake.
Right.
You got to deal with your own stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Leave me out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to your daughter, what if she wants to practice something like this in high school, or she's
That's
adorable,
tough.
by the way, for those beautiful
She's a little angel.
ever.
How old is she?
She's 4, just turned 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask that about like, how does that affect with your kids,
I
and
think
how
it's a
are
good
we at
question.
home? At home we have the most loving family. Like, she's just the sweetest little angel. She meets all of our lifestyle friends. They all love her. She sees us being affectionate with them. I mean, we're careful. We don't like get sexy with them, but I'll give my friends a kiss, or I'm always massaging somebody. Like, my love language is touch. So
Mine too.
I'm always touching somebody, no matter what. So she's growing up in a household where she sees mom and dad loving other people, just very naturally. As far as like, if she wanted to do it, Sure.
As in high school,
whatever makes her
like
happy.
that.
Yeah.
It's difficult to have the hypothetical of high school because
It's so
there's
far
so
away.
much that has to happen between now and then.
Developmentally,
Yeah.
there's a lot
Right.
of things going on at that age.
Right,
I
and
think
we'll be open. We're going to be open with her. You know, we believe that it's our duty to be honest with her
Yeah.
as parents. You know, we
Probably once she's at an age where she can grasp that.
Yeah, once
I
she
would
gets
imagine.
it.
Right. It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to have a conversation about these things before it,
Yeah.
you know, it's something that she can understand.
Yeah.
But I think we'll probably, you know, have a slow development of that conversation.
Yeah.
And she sees
Yeah.
us so in love. Like, she and I are on each other all
Right,
the time. We
right.
are like together. She makes us kiss all the time. Like, she'll grab our heads and push us together.
That's awesome.
Like,
Yeah,
she sees
yeah.
the love. Because it's important for a child to see
Yep.
dad love mom.
And she'll grow up with that love instilled in her too.
yeah,
Yeah.
and she should look
Yeah.
for a guy that's going to love her the way she
Of
sees me
course.
love.
Yeah, you guys are
Aubrey.
setting the bar high. Because
Yeah.
my friends will have parties and it's like the wife's boyfriend comes, his girlfriend comes, and their kids play with their kids. You know what I mean? And it's all
Yeah.
intertwined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's strange. In theory, it sounds strange, you know, and we're still trying to like figure that out because I think we consider ourselves pioneers in a lot of ways. We've met like younger people, you know, we've met a lot of people in their 20s, and it just kind of seems like there's a little bit of a movement kind of heading in that direction.
I think so.
The more
Yeah, I think so.
more people
Totally.
we meet,
I was gonna say
the
that,
more,
yeah.
you know, it's still pretty hush hush. But like we're surprised there's a lot of people around
It's
us
going in that
are
direction,
open
I
or
think.
interested.
Yeah.
You know, so when we're open with people that are not, you can just kind of see there's like these little
The judgment.
It's like somewhere between judgment and also curiosity. You know, so we like to be open. You know, it's nerve wracking for us because it's very vulnerable. We don't want to come across judgment. We love each other. I mean, impeccably. Like my devotion to him is like. You know,
But we're also in a city where I think it's more liberal and it's more open.
True.
Like if I told friends in my hometown that I have friends who do this, they would be like, "What?"
Right.
Like just baffled,
Yeah.
you know, because it's I think there's a lot of areas that just have that small-minded mentality where
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
can't really see beyond
Right.
I think
the norm.
people
Yeah.
just don't realize they're living in a story that's been written for them
Right.
by people before them that they
Yes.
never even
Someone
met.
else set your rules for you.
Somebody wrote this
agree.
book for me. I don't want to live in their books. I want
Right.
to write my own narrative and figure out what works for me.
Totally.
and that can be okay. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think the struggle is when we tell people that we know already who are not open. You know, sometimes we get this like, oh, now that I know, you're gonna try to fuck me, and it's like, no, we're not.
Yeah, yeah.
Relax.
Exactly.
We're not. If we
That's so
were,
silly.
we probably would try. You know, prior to this,
Right.
people do it all the time. People
Right.
lie to their spouses because they
Absolutely.
want something, and they go after it, and 90% of the time, they get what they sought out. You know, and
right.
so the amount of cheating and lying and affairs, and like the dabbling in cheating, the messaging somebody on Instagram with something you're really not supposed to be.
It's much more common, I think, than having an open relationship is
Right.
cheating.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely. How do you guys meet other people?
Do you want me to answer or do you want to?
Go ahead.
Lots of different ways. Just in
Okay.
public, we call it hunting. We love going out together. We want
Hunting?
to date. And
That's what we were doing when we met him.
yeah, we're hunting.
Yeah,
which,
because I started talking about people
Yeah.
at Bailey's like, look at her.
He flipped the script. He like,
Which
hey,
honestly-
I can talk to you guys.
at this point, it's really not about even finding sex. It's about finding our people, like the people
Yes,
that
your
we
tribe.
identify with. I don't care if we have sex or not. Like, I just
Right.
want to meet people in our
That are
tribe
open
and
to
just
it, yeah.
expand this
Yeah,
beautiful
yeah.
thing.
Well, because I heard him say you were on Bumble, so I was
Yeah.
wondering how you approach that.
Bumble, Tinder, and we call it our fuckbook account. There's this website called Cassidy that we use.
Well, I was going to say, do you use Field? That's the new app.
I was on Field. I didn't really care for
Oh,
it.
you didn't like it? Okay.
Not so much. I've tried all of them, like all the
So
sites.
when you're on dating apps, do you put a picture of both of you and it's like, hey, we're open, we're looking for other open people?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what it was on Bumble, yeah, when I saw it. And then when it comes to connecting with couples in their 20s, have you guys done that, like younger
Yeah.
couples? So is it like the way it is, like, you know how I always said in the show, like I like my sexual experiences with more mature. Now that I'm in my 40s, I
Yeah.
have way more fun
Oh,
than when
me
I was
too.
in my 20s.
Yes.
So do you find that the younger couples like learn from you guys and like they're kind of enamored because you guys are mature and grown and
Right.
sexy? And, you know
You're
what
so
I'm saying?
insecure in your 20s.
Yeah,
too.
that's what I wanted to ask
Like you
you
haven't
about the
I don't
evolved
know
yet.
though. Again, I'm kind of surprised. There's a lot of like 20-somethings that actually are very self-aware.
Wow.
Okay.
I would venture to say, I'm only going to speak on my behalf because Jason might have something else to say. I actually think the couples in their 40s, to me, seem to have less figured out, generally speaking.
Well,
I
because I think a lot of that, I think maybe single people in their 40s were married for a long time, so they don't maybe have that
Yeah.
experience,
Yeah.
or they haven't just they haven't experienced that in a
or
long time.
sometimes the reason they opened it up was not based in the same reasons that we did.
Right.
Or they
Okay.
stayed the same. Like the reasons
that's
we
huge.
opened it up have kind of changed.
Yeah.
And a lot of older couples, I think, for them, it is a little bit more of like they just want to sleep with other people.
Yeah.
Whether they do it together or separately, and then they
Right.
close off their marriage in between. So for us, we're always open.
Right.
We're always
Always
open.
Right.
Sex without a connection to me is boring at this point. I don't want to have sex with somebody that I
yeah,
don't.
it's like a prostitute. Like,
It's
why would you
lame.
do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we really
Right.
look for people that we have like feelings for.
Connections with,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's funny
Yeah.
you say age because there's a couple that we know, call her R. She's only 25 years old, and she is one of the wisest, smartest people I've ever met. Like I've learned so much from this 25-year-old.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't even
25
see
for
age with
women,
her.
I think, I mean, you can tell me if you agree. 25, I think, is that age when you start figuring it out. You start figuring out who you are, what
Yeah.
you want in life. That was actually when I wrote my first book, because I had this revelation of, because it's that age, that they call it the quarter life crisis.
Yeah.
Because it's a quarter of 100, and it was that age where I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm working in a corporate job. I hate this. I was majoring in something in college. Like, I always wanted to write, and it was that age where I started to figure it out. And I broke up with the guy I was with, and that was when I ended up moving to LA, because I was like, I don't want to be here in my hometown. I don't want to marry this guy I went to high school with. So I think 25 for women, a lot of them, it's like that learning curve where you kind of start to smarten up and you start to figure it out, and
Yeah.
you develop a lot of wisdom at that
Yeah.
age, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the 20-somethings now, they grew up in a generation where they have access to so much more information. So by the time they're 20 to 25, they've been taking all this in and haven't
Absorbing
really
it,
practiced
yeah.
it yet. So I think there's a lot of 20-somethings that hypothetically have it figured out and just have to like walk their course.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised with how much I identify with people in their 20s. I personally prefer, like in terms of like the play aspect, the sexual aspect of it, it seems like I really prefer people around my age.
Yeah.
Somewhere in
30,
the 30s.
somewhere in
30
the
to 40
30s.
is like my
Yeah,
sweet spot.
I tend to like guys a little older than me, so I
Yeah.
think like 40-ish is kind of ideal.
Yeah. He's open. He's kind of like...
I really don't have
these
like a
people-
type or an age. Like I've always liked women older than me, but since we got into this and being able to explore,
I'm open to anything. I
Yeah.
just feel like the guys that I tend to fall for are always older, because
Yeah.
I like them to be responsible, mature,
Yeah.
have some wisdom.
Yeah.
You know, like the 20-somethings, I'm just like, ugh, in the morning, I'm like, you can go now.
Right.
You know?
Well, and I'm pretty sure they say like a man's brain emotional development is not like completed until
Yeah.
they're 30.
Oh, okay, and they mature slower than women.
Yep, that's-
so
that's for sure.
And then
Yeah.
they kind of stick.
Yeah,
they, like,
yeah.
get to their
Sexually, they have a lot of
stage.
stamina in their
Yeah.
20s, but it's like I don't want to have a conversation with you afterwards,
Right.
you know? So it lacks that connection. Yeah.
Yeah. Just
know what-
depends how much you're in the mood for.
Right.
one of the
Right.
challenges that we found early on in this is finding a single person is not very difficult. Like if it's a guy and she's into him, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Vice versa. If it's a girl, like she likes to connect with a girl also.
Oh, okay.
But with couples, it's really hard to find four-way chemistry, and we found that
Right.
there's a lot of really beautiful women in this lifestyle, and a lot of them are attached to guys that are like, no, that's not going to happen.
Oh.
Right? So it makes it difficult.
I remember you telling me that too when we talked. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that just aren't going to make her cut.
Yeah.
Right. You know,
So-
what I want to ask you too, Jason, and I know a lot of guys want me to ask you. How does a guy get over, because for me, whether I know or not, I don't want no one else sleeping with my wife or my girl or kissing or anything. So how do you get over that? Like, how do you get past that? I'm sure that's what everybody wants to know.
I'll answer the question. We'll get into it.
Okay.
Why would you not want that?
Okay.
Why would you not? Why would you not? Why would you not want a guy kissing your girl?
Because I don't want someone else to touch her.
But what if she likes it?
It doesn't matter.
See, that's where
I wanted to get into
no,
it.
this is exciting.
I want it
That's-
for the audience.
Totally.
I want us to get
What
this.
does it mean to you?
Because
Like,
I have
what is
that.
Okay, let's talk about it. I don't know. That's a good question. Why wouldn't I want someone kiss? I don't know. I don't want someone else. Someone
Because
else
it's your knee-jerk reaction.
I don't want someone else. Yeah, I don't. Maybe it's all I've been taught. Maybe it's all I know. Maybe that's how we grew
Are you
up.
thinking that that person's maybe a better kisser than you?
Nope, not at
Are
all.
you thinking that that person's going to be maybe a better lover than you?
Not at all.
Are you thinking
Slimmy
that
puts the
person's
smash?
maybe
in.
gonna...
Not at all.
So like,
Not
what
like
is
that.
there?
I don't know. I guess the physicality of it. Another man's lips going on my girl.
Okay,
or-
so when you kiss somebody for the first time
yeah.
and you feel a buzz, right? Like if you
Yeah.
kiss somebody, there's like
That human
there's
connection.
a buzz, you know, like
Yeah.
right here you can feel it. If
Yeah.
it's a good one,
Yeah.
if there's a good connection. If it's not, then you don't have to worry either way. If
Right.
she's kissing somebody that she doesn't have like a buzz with, then
Yeah.
like she's probably not gonna want to kiss him again. But
Right.
if she does, you know how good that feels, right?
Right.
That
Right,
first
right,
kiss
right.
buzz. why wouldn't you want that for somebody who you care about?
Also-
you know, like I can never give him first date jitters. Because
you guys have been there, done that.
you know,
Yeah.
like he's seen me get birth. You know? I give him first date jitters. So if
Mystery's
he's having
gone.
a first date, or
Right.
if he's having a first kiss or something, then I know he's feeling an energy, a buzz.
Right.
You know, he's having something exciting that I can't personally give him. I can give him like some really amazing other. Probably really kinky stuff.
The best.
And, you know, like I know exactly how he likes to kiss. Like there's no
Right.
better natural kiss than kissing him. So
I could tell a story that might like help that because when I felt that way, honestly, when we got into this, I'm going to tell the Dana story. That makes sense. When we got into this, I was looking for couples and I kept showing her and she kept saying, no, I'm not into the guy. One day I come home from work and she shows me this couple and she's like, I found a couple. So I'm like, yes, let me see. And she shows me the picture. The dude looks like beef jerky. He's just freaking shredded. He had a dick like this, super handsome, driving a nice car. His girlfriend was beautiful. I was like, geez, I don't know do we have to start at a 10? Let's start at a 7 and work our way up a little bit. Oh, God, what are we doing? And so I always said, your happiness is my happiness. I'll do whatever I can to make you happy. I wasn't, though. I said that and I wasn't. So like 2 months went by and she had this little chat going and I wasn't helping and it was eating me up that I was being such a, I don't know. I didn't like who I was being.
Insecure.
Totally insecure. So I really started thinking about it and I was like, all right, big picture. I'm looking at this thing with like a microscope. Like he's got a giant dick. He's super buff. Like, big picture, is she going to leave me for a bigger dick?
Right.
Come on.
No.
Is she going to leave me for a guy that has more money or more? No, because I know what we
That's not
have.
official.
Right.
stuff.
And you know who she is, and
Yeah.
she's not about that.
So I reached out to him and I said, hey, do you want to come have a threesome with my wife, you and a girl? I don't even want to be a part of it because I don't want to work the whole, like, do I get along with your girl?
Right.
I know you two like her. She likes you two. Let's leave it at that. Easy enough.
Right.
And so I surprised her. I was going to give her a massage one night. I said, wear something sexy and keep your makeup on. We're going to have fun after the massage. So she did, and I'm rubbing her, texting him with one hand, and he's like, hey, I'm out front. And my heart was just, just
God,
thumping out of my chest. This the freaking Adonis is
Because
outside
you
of
were
my...
worried, or because
so
you're excited?
worried,
Oh,
so
okay.
worried. I was like, God, this is that guy. Is he better?
Right.
Is he gonna fuck her better than I do? And then, I heard him coming upstairs. He opened the door, and as soon as he walked in, and I looked at him, I was like, "You're just a
no
man.
contest,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're just a man, just like
Yeah.
any other man. I'm a man."
Well,
Let's-
that's the whole thing is we build like that other person up in our heads, I think, to be so much,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because like my ex, he didn't leave me for another girl, but he found somebody else. Like we weren't working out, and and I would like stalk her every day like it was my job. And I'm like, you know what? At the end, if I met her, she's probably a super nice person. You know what I mean? I probably love her.
Yeah.
But it's like we spend so much time building these people up in our heads
Yeah.
as like the enemy.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're not the enemy. They're just a person.
I thought Leonidas was gonna come in, kick my door down, throw me out of the way. I'm here to fuck your wife.
Hippie a woman.
That didn't happen, but it was a good time. They all enjoyed each other. I watched. I played a little bit, but
Okay.
it was just a
Were
really
you
good.
weren't into the wife?
Oh, I was. She's beautiful.
okay.
But I just didn't want to complicate it. I wanted it to be
Yeah.
easy.
You wanted it to just be easy
Just
for her.
be easy for her. I just wanted her to be happy.
Okay.
And then
And we ended up becoming
he's
great
a
friends.
great guy. I really like him.
Yeah.
So now we're friends.
So ever since you guys said, what don't you like about that? I'm still grappling with that question.
Yeah.
Like, what is it that bothers me if someone else
Might take you years
is
to figure
fucking
it
my
out.
wife or kissing my wife? Like, what? Because you're right. I'm not insecure about anything.
Yeah.
You're absolutely
Yeah.
right about that.
Yeah.
So what's the issue then?
Just don't ever
What's the physical? What's the problem with the physical
Mm-hmm.
aspect of it that gets me? And it could be something that I was just taught or learned. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Because
Totally.
I don't think I could watch Adonis fucking my wife.
Is
I
it
just couldn't-
is
you know
it
what I'm saying?
fear that she might leave you for someone else?
No. It's not even none of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
think
just gotta keep asking why. You gotta keep asking why. Don't ever stop. It's gonna bother you. Just don't
people,
stop.
Not even that.
I think humans have.
Because I'm so secure to myself, Jason. Like, I'm kind of like you. I don't
No, I
care.
can tell. Yeah, you're
like-
walking confidence.
Right.
I think humans have that natural possession in them,
Yeah.
where if you
Yeah.
love someone, you're attracted to them. You don't want
You don't
anyone
want
else
anyone else.
Yeah.
touching
Yeah.
them.
Well, and from such a young age, you're conditioned to think
That's
mine,
what-
mine,
that's-
mine,
Right,
mine,
right,
mine,
right.
mine.
This
Right.
toy's mine.
And
I'm
now-
not sharing it.
Yeah.
This candy's
Yeah.
mine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
You're how
what
old
we're
now?
taught. 46.
46. So for 46 years,
Yep.
you've been under the
All I was
impression that
taught.
whoever you're dating
Yep.
is yours.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
built into your
Built
mentality.
into my,
Yeah, and
that's
I'm
what-
sure it's probably shaking you a little bit, thinking like, oh, I don't want to possess anybody, but
Yeah,
I'm
that's
saying
shaking me
something
right now.
I'm saying something right now that seems kind of possessive. What do I do? So
I don't know.
episode 2, we're going to be.
I think over time that could change because I think the beginning phase is when there's that fear. There's the fear of losing them. There's the fear of them finding somebody else or somebody wanting them. There's that jealousy. There's a possession because you're so enamored with this person, right? Like during that honeymoon stage. But I think over time, you get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you trust them and you know that your relationship is solid and they're not going anywhere
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
not going
Yeah.
anywher.
Or
So
you change your perspective. What he was saying
Right.
about feeling jealous. Trying to change whatever that emotion, whatever
Yeah.
that bubbling in your gut is. That doesn't sound like a good way to put it.
that's okay.
But, whatever that thing is, that
Feeling,
tension.
yeah.
That tension can either be manifested positively or negatively. So if you manifest that in a more positive way.
Yeah.
So like for instance, I like to watch. I like to watch people have sex, whether that's
Do you like to watch him? Do you like to watch him have
Yes,
sex?
it's like watching the. Okay, so like normally if I watch porn,
whoa.
if I watch porn, like most of the guys, might have like good body, and obviously they're like, hung or whatever.
Yeah.
But like for the most part, the guys are not that impressive. So this guy is impressive. Like everything from top to bottom is like spot on. So I get to watch like my favorite porn star in real life. I actually get to if I'm present in that, I get to feed off of that energy in the
Or
room.
direct. She'll tell me what to do.
It's like a movie.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I get to go get in there. If we're with a woman, then I get to like, be
Yeah,
a
yeah,
little,
yeah.
He likes this.
puppeteer. Totally. And I just sometimes I like to I'm a big voyeur. I like to sit back and watch. So, but I didn't think I could.
Yeah.
But I wanted to. So when we first started having the conversation of maybe bringing another girl in, I was like, oh, can I watch him? We were thinking of just giving a massage. Before we did anything, our first thought was like, maybe we just give a girl a massage. And I'm like, whoa, but what if I can I watch him touch somebody? And, I'm feeling all these things. And now, flash forward, I love watching him.
Right.
I love people appreciating everything that he's made of.
Yeah,
I get to be on the receiving end of that all the time.
Well, that's so selfless because what it comes down
Yeah.
to is being selfless and not being selfish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, because when you're
Totally.
selfish,
I
it's
agree.
the mind mentality. I want this for me.
Right.
But when you're selfless, you want to put that other person first, and you want the best for them.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not always going to be you. It might be
Right.
someone else,
Yeah.
or you might be sharing.
Yeah.
You're
Exactly.
selfless.
And
Or,
the
okay.
physicality of him touching another woman or penetrating another woman doesn't bother you. You're like, that's just something physical.
That sounds like it turns her on. Maybe.
No, I love it.
That's
Yeah,
what
I
I'm
love it.
saying.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So if
that's-
I'm present, it turns me on. If I'm not
Right.
present, so if he goes on a date or whatever, there have been times where he's meeting somebody that I'm not really sure if he's super into that person, and I he can go do whatever he wants. He can take it for a test drive. He can figure out his own relationships. But my preference is if he's not going to be spending time with me, I want him to be spending time with somebody that he either enjoys. If he's going to be having sex with somebody and it's not me, I want that to be enjoyable. I don't want to say, okay, you're allowed to do this, even though you're allowed to do whatever you want, but I'm okay with you doing this, but you can only enjoy it so much.
Right.
It's
like
don't
limitations.
totally enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just do it because we're okay.
Right.
But no, you should be enjoying it. So
Yeah.
if I know that he's enjoying it, then it turns me on. If I'm present and I feel like the woman is not participating, then it doesn't turn me on because
Yeah.
we're
Well,
here-
because I think it's probably because it makes me happy to make other people happy, right?
Yeah, totally.
So that's the whole thing, and that was a big problem in my last relationship because I felt like a lot of times, if we'd go to a concert and he would be like, I don't really know this band. I'm just tired. I kind of want to go home. It ruins the experience for me, even if I love the band, if they're not having fun.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I whenever I travel, it's I want to be with somebody or I go to anything that they're going to enjoy it with me. Because me enjoying it and you not enjoying it, that's going to bring down my night, and now neither of us are happy.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So I think it goes for relationships too.
Which is lame. If I was going to go on a date with you to a concert I did not want to go to, but you asked me to go,
Yeah.
and I said yes, I'm going to change my mindset that this is going to be freaking fun. I don't care if I don't like this band or not, because
Right.
I know how much you like it.
Yeah, and that was the problem is someone's energy can bring you down.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. And it had nothing to do with me. It's just he was just a very depressed person and I think could be brought down very easily. And so essentially it brought me down. I think he thought he was going to like it because it was Nine Inch Nails and he thought they were going to play the popular songs. Trent Reznor doesn't play the popular songs.
Right.
He does. He's going to bang
plays
on
the
stuff.
Trent Reznor.
Yeah, he's going to bang on a keyboard for 20 minutes.
Right.
Yeah. But I wanted to ask you you guys, have you ever had a situation that went wrong?
Yeah. Okay, so here's
Good question, right?
so we like to say, we
Oh, really?
we talked
I
about
actually just
this.
thought of it right now.
Because we really don't think that we have had bad experiences. We've had learning experiences that we wouldn't repeat.
Yeah.
Because out of every time we do something, whether it's a date, sex, whatever it is, we debrief with each other. We get back and we talk about what worked and what didn't work. It's kind of like I used to be on the SWAT team. After every mission, we would get together as a team and hash it out, like very honestly, like, hey, you screwed this up. Don't do that. We do that with our relationship.
You
and
so
our
don't seem like
experiences.
an ex-police officer.
I was shocked when he told me that.
Yeah. So
Oh, and he's like the baddest police officer.
Honest to God,
He
too.
was like the one they put in the movies.
anyway,
So funny.
So we've had experiences we wouldn't repeat, but we wouldn't know that unless we had them. So we haven't had like repetitive bad experiences.
Yeah.
We've just had things happen and been like, whoa, that's.
Can you give us an
Yeah, like
example?
what?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We learned pretty quickly, don't just invite people right to your house for the first date.
Okay.
Because the people that show up look like they ate the people in the photos. Like there's some catfishing out there.
catfishing.
Of course, yeah.
And they show up, and it's almost like we were brand new at this
no.
story when it happened. And it was this couple, and they came over, and it's like, what do we do? They're here. Let's make the most of it, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, no. Do
So-
you hook up with them anyway?
Yeah, we did. And
Oh.
again, this is very early in our
Took one for
lifestyle
the team.
career. We're kind of we
Literally.
both took one for, I don't know
Took
whose
one for
team.
their team. Yeah.
They got lucky that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
No, well, remind me afterward
talking-
on this. I'm going to show you guys pictures because I had dated a guy who was talking to this girl who posed as like a porn star looking girl in person. She was not the same person.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
at all.
Yeah,
Not that she
not
gained
even-
weight, like just not the same
Not
person.
the same person.
similar.
And she was going to show up at his house one night, and I was like, I stopped talking to him at one point, but I was like, I wonder if she ever showed up. Like, what would you
No, but honestly, like the night as it happened was like, oh, this isn't that great. As soon as they left, it was so funny because that's the first time I've ever faked an orgasm. So like now we have this fun story to talk about.
And
all the
I
time.
watched it, and I'm like,
She's like, he's not.
what's
no.
happening?
I just wanted it to be over.
That's not the real thing.
See, I'm the type who would have just told him that to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got it.
Now I am for
I
sure.
think at the time we didn't feel obligated. It was just we were new, and we just kind of felt like, who knows?
Yeah.
Like, let's give it a chance.
Yeah, exactly. I get
This
it.
whole point
Yeah.
is just to kind of
At the end of the day, it's a funny story, right?
Yeah, we have a lot
Exactly.
of funny stories.
A lot of funny stories.
Yeah, and that's still like a positive, experience for us because without the contrast, contrast of like, okay, we wouldn't do that again. We would
Right.
definitely do this again.
Yeah.
No, we live for the story, whether it's a good one or an
Yes.
uncomfortable one. If
Yeah.
I can tell it and make somebody laugh,
Oh, some of the worst things that have happened to me, I'm like, well, you know what? At least it was a great story.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, I don't think we've had any bad experiences in terms of the emotional part of it, because there's the sex part of it and then there's the emotional part of it.
Right.
But we have had, those talks. We've had those hard talks, and we've had to try to figure out, what is it that we're open to? Because again, we started off with like, you can't be super attracted, or like we're all going to chat together. We're not going to have any independent chats. And now we're very open.
Well, have you
Yeah.
ever had situations too where like one of you kind of got jealous because the other person did have feelings for someone else? Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
In fact, our best friends in the world, when we met them, is the first guy that she was not only physically attracted to, but she was like attracted to him. He's an awesome guy. He's the coolest guy in the world. He's a musician. He could do all the cool things
love
that I don't do. He's a
musicians.
great cook. Plays in a punk band. Now he's making EDM music. The guy's a freaking stud. At one point when we first met, she was like, hey, learn this song and send me a video playing it with your shirt off. And at the time, like now, that's so funny that bothered me. That's so ridiculous. But
You've evolved.
at the time, I was like, whoa, play a song with your shirt off. Are we going there? Like, that's what we're doing? Like, do you like this guy?
Yeah.
So it was hard, honestly, at first. Like, I struggled with that and then let it go.
Yeah.
And now he's my best friend in the whole world. So
Right.
And it's been really easy to like keep our relationship as the focus, so like regardless of how we've ever felt about anybody, at the end of the day, if something happened and we just didn't feel good anymore about this, we would shut it down, and we're completely happy, we're fulfilled. I could be monogamous with this guy forever and be happy.
Yeah.
So it's never been a matter of, for me, not like having to have this, and no relationship I've ever had has anything like the components of what I have with him. I think of it as like, if you go out to a meal and you have like an appetizer and dinner,
Yeah. He's your main course.
and he's like my dessert.
Yeah.
And like
Which is really the best
everybody
part.
else is like, I'll have this
Yeah.
dish today, and I don't even
Yeah.
know there's dessert. Like it's not even on the table.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have dessert with
Yeah.
anybody else. I only have dessert with him. So,
Right.
you know, it's
The way you guys put it, it makes a lot of sense. I have a question that I know the audience wants to know. In today's time, how do you grapple with STDs?
That's exactly what I was going to
Yeah,
ask
so-
you. Like, do you worry about that? And
That's a
pregnancy
big
too.
one.
Like, what are the rules
Right.
there?
Yeah,
I
what are
mean-
the rules there with that
right.
stuff?
And I guess you could
Because
ask the
these days
same thing.
you can
anyone else.
kiss
To
someone now and
anybody.
get gonorrhea or syphilis.
Chlamydia,
Absolutely.
gonorrhea, you get all that.
From
Right,
the throat,
right.
just
Right.
French
But
kissing someone.
do you have like rules? Like, do you have to always use protection? Like, what are your rules around that?
There's no condom for your mouth
We-
though, so it's still
No, no.
So
I'm talking about sex. I'm not-
just rules in general, we abandon them. We
Okay.
both agree that
No rules.
she's going to do what's best for our relationship, and I trust her. I
Okay.
don't think she'd do anything detrimental to us or malicious. So just in general, as far as rules go, we started with rules and we let them go because they just create problems. Honestly,
Right,
Okay.
as far as STDs, yeah, we went from a monogamous relationship where that wasn't even on the radar
Right.
to like, whoa, there's a whole lot of stuff out there.
Lots.
Yeah, we use condoms when we have sex, but
Okay.
like you said, like gonorrhea, chlamydia, like you're gonna get those
Get
things.
from
If,
kissing now.
and who doesn't have oral when you have sex? That sounds
Right.
boring. So,
Nobody that we know.
Right.
I mean,
I'm just kidding.
yeah, the risk is there. I think that's why we're very selective in who we play with.
Gotcha.
Like our play partners are people that we actually care about. They're not these like fly by night, just one night stands.
Right.
We've done it. We've done that. We're
Yeah.
careful. It's a risk you take. It's a risk any single person takes.
Right.
Oh, it's interesting
absolutely.
because we've
Yeah.
come across like some weird criticism on like Bumble or Tinder with
Uh-huh.
people like, well, you know, and they're very judgmental and aggressive about like
Jesus.
how
They
you
match
protect
just to
yourself.
tell me to get off.
And it's like, well, you know, everybody else you're matching on this app has the same questions. Like, you know, chances are we're probably meeting less people than most of the single people on
Right.
Tinder
And we
or
get tested
Bumble.
every 3 months.
Yeah.
Like we're on
yeah.
that. You
Yeah.
know, I'm sure single guys
Yeah.
are not out there getting tested
Right.
as frequently as I am, or being honest about it.
Right.
Right.
And we personally know quite a few people who are married or in monogamous relationships that are also having sexual relationships outside of their marriage. You know, like so everybody.
Every
Yeah.
girlfriend I've ever had that's got an STD has got it from their boyfriend.
Really?
Because they cheated. Mhm.
Yeah, and they trusted that explicitly. At the end of the day, if either of us, independently or together, contracted something, we're kind of like, well,
You just go
we're
and
in
get
it together.
taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's
something
fixable, we'll get it
treatable, we're
fixed.
gonna get
It's just a
treated.
good question.
If
you
we
know.
don't,
Well, think
then-
about like because I always read memoirs and books about like the groupies from the 70s that like they were hooking up with Mick Jagger and Robert Plant and all of them, and it was like there were no rules back then.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
just did it. You hope for the best.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
lived with it.
Yeah. Yeah, we've gone through like different waves with that. You know, there has been times where we're super stressed about it. You know, we don't, and we're really good about getting tested.
Yeah.
And then there kind of came a point where it's like, well, we use condoms with people.
And also,
We're
you're
still
not
gonna get tested,
You're
but
not
at the end of
fucking
the day-
everybody that walks. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
Because I think that's what people think. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, they're probably just sleeping with anybody
Right.
who would want to sleep with them. But
Right.
it's like you guys are actually being selective.
Chances are, like I said, statistically, we're probably sleeping with less people than most single people.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're
Exactly.
sexually
And it's a judgment
active
call,
sex-
just
single
like if
person.
you're single.
Right.
Like
Oh, yeah.
like with my ex, I fucked him the first night I met him, and it was like, but I was like, you know what? He's like a single dad who was married for like 10 years.
Yeah.
The chances he's gonna have something
Yeah.
are slim. I don't think he's having a
Right.
whole lot of
Right.
sex. 'Cause
Right.
He kind of lives in the middle of nowhere. Like,
Yeah.
And we've had the conversation like, hey, if you get something and I don't, like if it's curable, whatever, we'll get it fixed. But like, let's
Right.
say you catch one of those like the herpes or something, like
Ugh,
that's not
yeah.
going away. If she got it, I would just get it,
Right.
And then we just stay together.
Right. Or you just be, and I think with that too,
is
you can
that?
only get it if someone has an outbreak. So
Is that your phone? I'm like, what is that?
watching the
We're
game.
doing some sports.
Sorry.
Yeah. But
Right.
I've had friends that have got that too, and they were like, "Yeah, I've never had an outbreak. I feel like I don't even have it." So it's, and I think their husbands never got it. So I think you can actually there are
Yeah.
workarounds. I think
Yeah.
for most
And the
things now.
testing for certain things, specifically herpes, is kind of it's weird the way they test it because normally when you get an STD test, like a regular panel, they don't test for herpes
Because you
They
can
just don't. You have to-
because I think you can only test for it if you have an outbreak.
Right. Like the only way to actually confirm
if you have it, yes.
is by testing if you have an outbreak. So a lot of people just don't get tested,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes the ones that do get tested might test. Like sometimes it's negative, sometimes it's positive. So it's just not conclusive. The
Right,
testing.
right.
So there's probably a lot of people out there, single or in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've done so much studying on STDs, because again, we're not just going into this like
Gotcha, yeah, that's a good
haphazardly.
question.
Like
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
we do, we talk about, we study.
And you're looking out for the other person
Yeah.
too,
Right.
because obviously you don't want to.
Right.
give something to
and
your
we have a
partner.
daughter, you know? So
Absolutely.
like, if,
Right.
you know, when it comes to disease, if we contract anything, specifically AIDS or hepatitis, like that could be problematic for our health.
Right.
You know, if we were to contract herpes, then again, we'd probably be like, oh, we got herpes,
Yeah.
shut it down.
Yeah, your life's over.
But I think what I would like
Close for
everyone,
business.
I
That
think
was
what
fun.
what I want everyone to know, because it feels icky when I'm talking to people and they're like, do you guys have STD? Like there's this assumption that like we're around all this STD, and I'm
Right.
like, don't you get it? Like you're
Like, I'm not a
having sex with
prostitute,
more
yeah.
people than I am, and more random people than I am. If I was a single
Yeah.
guy on Bumble, you wouldn't be asking me that.
No
Right.
kidding.
So it's-
That's right. They wouldn't.
They would.
Yeah.
Because predominantly you're having sex with one person most of your life.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
for most of the time.
Yeah, exactly. The percentage of people we're having sex without, like extramarital sex with, is pretty low.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, in comparison again
Yeah.
to single people.
Yeah, again, I'm just trying to ask the questions I know the audience.
Those are good questions.
Absolutely.
Like, why did you
I've
say
had-
this? Why did you
yeah.
ask them that?
No,
Well, I've asked my
Appreciate
friend
it.
that too, because
checking it off my list.
because he doesn't, I don't think he uses condoms, but he has like two kind of side girlfriends
Yeah.
that are consistent.
Yeah.
But I was like, what if you got one of them pregnant? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's what I would
Yeah.
worry
Yeah.
about.
So she has an IUD, and I had a vasectomy. So
Okay.
Oh, you had a vasectomy.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
yeah, one and done. We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And you only wanted one kid?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to, but the pregnancy had so many complications. They would all happen again. That we were like, let's just
Let's
Yeah,
get the
careful
snip.
with the IUD though. I know people have got pregnant on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, still.
But if you're
Yeah.
also using condoms for STDs, then you're fine.
Right.
Yeah.
And like
you're
the,
like double
the one
protected.
couple that we don't, that we're like, we have an agreement with
Yeah, you
them.
guys trust
He
them.
has a
You guys
vasectomy
trust
also.
each
Oh,
other.
cool.
And you got, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Nice.
it's like a very close relationship.
Right. So that was my next
Yeah.
question. Are there couples that you
Yeah.
guys connect with that you don't use protection with because you trust each other and you
Right.
guys have a
Yeah.
thing
We
going
have-
on? That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're open with them, you know. So again, the kind
Right.
of interesting thing about our friendships is we talk to our friends actually the way we're talking to you guys. We can't
Right.
talk to a lot of our other friends, like
Right.
we call them vanilla friends, about these things. So if you talk to your friends that are open
Yeah.
about this stuff, then you can kind of talk to them about anything. So
Yeah.
we've talked to like
Yeah.
very new friends about some
Yeah.
like major stuff that's going on in their lives,
Yeah.
not pertaining to the relationship, but like, you know, those things that are like, this is what's going on with our lives, you know. So it's really cool to have the openness translate into so many other facets of our
Right.
lives.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so if any of our friends need anything, like they know they can call us.
And I think it helps you identify who are your people.
Yeah.
You know, who you
Yeah.
can bring into your life.
Yeah.
Because even if you weren't open, I think, you know, it's good to have people in your life who are just open-minded, who aren't
Absolutely.
judgmental.
Yeah.
You know,
You
that
can
like
just be yourself.
that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned vanilla because I found that I was vanilla the other day. I didn't even know it was I didn't know it was a thing. I have no problem saying that. I'm green as fuck when it comes to sex. Yeah, I found out that I was vanilla. I was like, okay, so wait a minute, hold on, let me get this straight. So there's kinky on the spectrum, and on the other end, vanilla.
Oh,
But I
that's
think
funny.
it's
but
just
kinky. You have to be. So we learned this the hard way. Kinky is actually kind of different than
Okay.
open, because you can be
Yeah.
into kink and be
And not be
monogamous.
open. Yeah, be monogamous. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So
Oh,
I found
we
out I was
yeah.
a monogamous vanilla
Yeah.
guy. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even talking to the relationship
Yeah.
being open. I just found out that I was vanilla.
But I think
I was
it's-
like, okay.
But I think it's more. It's just because you were married twice, so you
Yeah.
have mainly been monogamous your whole life. So I think now,
Right.
you know, and I've said this to you before. I think now is when you're really experimenting.
Yeah,
you know?
yes.
I actually don't really think you're that vanilla, man. To me, a vanilla means someone who's kind of closed off to new
Yes.
ideas.
Right,
Your
I'm
mind
not.
is
And
open.
kind of boring.
Yeah.
Like I have vanilla. And it's funny. I call them my vanilla friends too.
Yeah.
Like not to their face, but I have some that are very vanilla. But they're
Yeah.
kind of like these friends that I
Yeah.
don't really talk to
Yeah.
that much. You know,
Yeah.
it's like I'll see you once in a while, but you're not going to be the person I call when I want to keep it real and have a real honest conversation
Yeah.
and
Right.
dig deep.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, and you know the thing about being vanilla, like I would say, you're kind of like maybe vanilla with some toppings.
Okay.
Sprinkles.
You got some
Well,
sprinkles.
thanks.
Like you're
Cream.
open. You're open to like plenty, right? Like you're
Yeah,
open.
yeah.
So you might be vanilla in the way you choose to dictate your own relationships. Like you might want a monogamous relationship, and you're allowed to. You know, just
Right.
because we're open doesn't mean that we think it's for everybody.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
certainly not.
It's
but
not.
you're
No.
you're open minded. So
Right.
the fact, like even how you approached us at 1909, I wouldn't call you vanilla just because of that. Even
Right.
though you don't participate in the same things we do, the fact that you're having an open, excited conversation with us and you're eager to, you know, not even
learn
pertaining to
about
the
it. Yeah.
podcast,
Yeah, just
but
know
just
about
to
it.
know about it means to me you're not vanilla.
Right.
So here vanilla with
Okay.
Yeah, vanilla people are like,
maybe a banana split.
I had eggs for breakfast today, and then I went to the gym, and then I watched TV. Like those people to me are.
Or we got real crazy and went to Thunder Down Under. It's funny. She went to that.
It's like very on the surface conversation.
Yeah.
That's what I think of.
We had just gotten back from a Mexico, basically like swinger getaway. It was like epic trip. And right after I went to Thunder from Down Under with one of my vanilla friends, and I'm like, whoa.
It's kind of hard to get excited about that when you just participated in some.
This is amazing. Wow, I feel so bad.
Yeah.
I know. It's funny because I bring Kels out with me with like some of my vanilla friends. Because it's just like they're so boring. I don't want to hang out with them by myself. My friend Kels is great. She was on our podcast about astrology, but Kels is like, she's my judge of character because she's just smart and she'll meet someone for 2 seconds and be like, oh yeah, they're this, this, and this, and she's always right. And I brought out a friend of mine who's like very vanilla, and she left, and she was like, she's just like driftwood. She just like took up space.
Oxygen thief.
Because some people just like take up space, you know?
Well, and I think vanilla's like, they just like things the way they like them. You know, they like this certain kind of structure.
And
they
I
like
think
things
there's
to
not a
be
whole lot going on
predictable.
upstairs.
Yeah.
They have no depth, you know, and that's my problem is like I have a lot of people who are nice and, you know, I'll hang out with you once in a while, but there's no depth to you,
Yeah.
you know? And so that is sort of like I like to dig deep and have conversations with people that really get into your soul.
They live in
you know?
fear of all the things that people say you should live in fear of instead of experiencing it for themselves and just saying, actually, that's not right.
That's not the big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, or they just don't think about it.
Yeah.
It's just they're very... They want to work a 9 to 5 and just, you know, or maybe just lead a normal life.
Right.
We like to be
Yeah.
the people that if anybody said, hey, Jason Aubrey, you guys up for blah, blah, blah? And we're going to be like,
Yeah.
we're down.
Always.
Probably 100% of the time. We're down. For whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, we're like, are always open to new adventure. And if at any point, again, whether it's pertaining to like openness and lifestyle and sex or just, we want to go on a trip, we want to try something, whatever. Like, we're just open.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think.
In all senses of the word.
Exactly. Metaphorically and figuratively speaking.
Right. I'm trying to think if I left any questions out, man.
Oh, you took mine.
I took. I just want to let them leave without. You know, I should have said this or asked
see.
that, and
I wrote some
you know
notes.
what I mean. Okay, so I have going back to the whole vanilla thing. When you guys have these experiences, how kinky is it as opposed to the vanilla or the kinky side, physically, sexually speaking, with toys and this and that,
okay.
and trying other things like anal and this and that. And I've heard, those
I'm learning about tantra right now. A really good friend of mine is like opening my mind. I'm 37 years old. I feel like
tantric sex or tantra?
Tantric sex, yeah.
Tantric sex. Oh, I like tantric.
I feel like at this point in my life, I kind of had sex figured out. Like I feel pretty confident.
Mm-hmm.
This couple is blowing my mind. They're opening doors for me that I never knew existed. So like the doors and the avenues to like toys and play style and things, it's just like mind blowing.
Have you ever
And a
had
lot of
any?
tantric too is bringing the spirituality into lovemaking too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Tantric,
Oh man.
I'm tapping
It's
into
wild.
energy, you know.
Yep,
so I think
energies.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Energy's
Love
huge.
tantric.
Have you guys had like experienced anything with anybody who's had like weird fetishes or like any BDSM kind of type of stuff?
So we've been propositioned for like really kinky stuff, and I think we learned pretty early on. We're probably not like
Declined it.
very kinky.
Okay.
Like in terms of like I don't think either of us really want to be like walked around with a dog mask. You know, like it's just probably not our thing.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah,
like I love when people have that. I
Right,
love when
right.
people
Yeah.
have
Right.
kinks, like
You're
foot
like, you-
fetishes.
like,
Like
you
guys
do
that want
you.
that.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Like,
I got
So
you.
we've tried. I think we've tried a little bit of everything. We've done stuff that's very like passionate, vanilla, lovemaking type of sex, all the way to we have gone to like BDSM places. I've been tied and flogged. That was pretty awesome.
Okay.
I don't
we were,
even know what that means.
Like
dessert
shibari.
trays at a sex party one
Yeah, we were
time.
dessert trays. We were a human dessert trays.
naked sushi girl.
Which again, you know, somebody just propositioned like, hey, you know, we're looking for a couple that's like fit that will like be live dessert trays. So Jason asked me about it. I'm like, sure. Yeah.
I said we're vegan. Don't be putting any sushi on
don't
me.
put chicken on me and I'm good, you know. But so we were human dessert trays, and I don't know that we would do it again, but it was fun
cool.
to do.
Cool story.
It's an experience.
At the end of this ride, when we're old, wrinkly ass people and nobody wants to fuck us, I want to
your
look
life.
back and have rad stories. I've been able to watch her. When I met her, she was a like, not necessarily a lights off kind of a girl, but like very conservative, would never wear bathing suits that exposed much. And now, like, we just went to a rave the last 2 days, and the things this girl's wearing, I love that, like, she has that. She's so empowered. I'm her husband, so of course I'm going to tell her I love her and she's beautiful every day.
Yeah.
But you get used to that. You get used to your person telling you that. I want her to know, independent of me, if I die tomorrow, she's got the world by the balls. She's such a powerful woman. She could do whatever she wants. It just feels good to know she has that.
Yeah.
And when we first started dating, she went from like one lame boyfriend to another in these long-term relationships.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be like the guy, like she's just going to
The
get
rebound.
out, just going to get out and date a little bit.
Yeah.
Not supposed to be with anybody. Well, of course, I snatched her up. Like I want this girl.
Yeah.
Right.
But now she still gets to go and so she was bummed. She was like, I never got to have like dates. I never went on a bunch of dates and had that. Now she can still have that.
Yeah,
And it's
you're not missing much. That's not that
but
exciting.
it's fun. I like when she has a good date. I also like when she has a bad date, honestly, because I like hearing about it.
I like when I have a bad date because then I have to find the thing in myself. You know, I'm like a people pleaser. I don't want to make anybody unhappy. So I have to find that thing in myself that's like, this isn't going to go any further. So it's growing experience for me.
Yeah.
I remember one of the times when we first started talking about maybe playing with other people separately, not because for a long time it was just the two of us together, everything was together. And when we started to like maybe date separately, there was a guy at the gym that I was kind of interested in, and Jason was like, I want you to talk to him today. And I'm like, oh my God. He was the one that like did all the connections. I just like, I had the experiences, but he's like the matchmaker.
Yeah.
So then he gave me that confidence to like go in and so I hit on the guy, and he was married. It didn't work out. But, I got super emotional when I was talking to him about it. Because I just had this flood of like gratitude towards him, because I would be so terrified to hit on somebody prior to him or since him.
Yeah.
And the fact that he encouraged me to like see my own sexuality and my own power and use it without him around. Didn't matter where it went, but just do it.
Yeah.
It was really cool. And I think I've tried to build on that. So I feel like he's so responsible. I mean, my growth is my growth. Like, I'm not going to give him like all the credit for my growth, and I don't want to take the credit for his growth, but he's just he's been my cheerleader.
Yeah, he encourages it.
Yeah,
and
I feel like
Well, that's what a partnership is, right? Like they make you a better person.
Yeah.
And you make them a better
Right.
person. I think that's what relationships are, is you really help each other grow as people.
Yeah. I think we probably spent the first 8 years of our marriage possessing each other.
Oh.
And then since then, not in an unhealthy way, but in the way that we thought we were supposed to.
Yeah.
And I think in the last 3 years, we've freed each other.
Yeah.
And there's just nothing
You'll
more
have a better
exciting
relationship because of it.
about just being a free person, being a free person, and whatever you feel, whatever you think, whatever you want to do with your body, your mind, your emotions, you're allowed to, because it's your one life. And we should all be able to just do what we want with our own life.
And we're not children anymore. It's not like we have a parent that can tell us what we can and can't do. Like
Yeah.
we're adults, we're our own people. And
Right.
yeah, we should be able to do that.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever done anything with two guys, or are you not into that?
I'm not bisexual, but I love like an MFM just because I love overwhelming her
Yeah.
and seeing
Okay.
her.
You mean like
Like a double penetration type thing?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he loves that.
That's how we got into this.
Yeah.
That was like the
Oh,
fantasy that
okay.
she wanted. I was like, we're doing that. She's like, no, it's just a fantasy. I'm like, well, you can have anything you want. Yeah. Well, fun is a fantasy if if there's no possibility you could live it out. Like, it's no fun to think about the lottery unless you buy a ticket. There's a chance, Like,
Right.
I can't imagine many situations where either of us, if we said, I kind of want to do this, I can't imagine there being much that either of us would say no to.
Right.
Yeah.
There might be a little bit of, I don't know about that. Let me think about it. And then chances are, a day later, okay, I'm down.
Yeah.
So there'd be very little that if I said something turned me on, he's going to be the first to be like, let's do it.
Yeah.
It's really grown our communication because we talk about so many uncomfortable things. You've got to just like look at head on and say, hey, I'm having a feeling, or even it translates to like, well, if we're like starting to have a fight, I've learned in myself, I'm very reactionary and I say things I don't mean. So I can be like, hey, I need 5 minutes. Let's talk about this in 5 minutes. Once I like let that initial reaction go away,
Okay.
then we can actually communicate and I'm going to hear you. But right now I'm just like raging. I need to calm.
That's so good to do, because I feel like 90% of people can't do that, because everyone reacts emotionally. You know what I mean? Like you react instantly emotionally instead of really taking time to think, why am I feeling these feelings? Because my rule is I don't talk to people when I'm angry. I don't say things out of anger that I'm going to regret. And sometimes it means not talking to somebody for months or even years, if it really, but because sometimes it takes a long time to really sort out those feelings. Why am I feeling this way? And move on from it to the point where, because I had a friend I didn't talk to for years, and then I was just like, okay, I'm ready to talk now.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes a long time.
Yeah.
But it's better, I think, to do that than to say things when you're angry, because then you feel terrible after.
You just make it worse.
You make it worse, and you feel guilt, and it doesn't make you good to make somebody else feel bad.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
then you just both feel bad.
At the end of the day, I always know she never wants to do anything to hurt my feelings or anything malicious. So when we're having a disconnect, I just remember that. Like, this is
Yeah.
the girl that, like, I want to be with after I die.
Right.
So, like, oh, I'm getting choked up again. So if I just remind myself, like, I'm so mad at her right now about this stupid little thing, but, like, big picture, like,
It's not going to matter. You're not even going to remember it in 5 years.
Right.
Yeah. And I think it's helped, you know, being able to communicate about everything has helped me try to figure out how to not control the outcome.
Yeah.
You know, so prior to like being able to communicate like this, I would be so afraid if we got in a fight, especially because he's reactionary, like, what's this going to lead to?
Yeah.
Are we going to break up? You know, there's like, what's the ultimate
That's always
end
the, that's
result
always the
here?
fear, right?
You know, and I think now I just feel like, well, we're not going to split up.
Right,
So if
yes.
he needs some space, I can just give him some space.
Because the fear is always, I mean, in relationships, your one fear is losing that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I think,
Exactly.
you know, you guys have got obviously to that point where you're not afraid of that anymore. You know, neither of you is
Yeah.
going
Yeah, we
going
identified
anywhere.
that.
Yeah.
The other day we were talking, I was like, you know, when we used to fight, sometimes we'd say things like, I can't take this anymore. I can't keep doing this. Or how I just can't stay in this. Like, you'd say things that almost sound like it could be an
Question.
end. Like, maybe we could end. And now it's just so laughable. Like,
Yeah.
we can't
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
We're going to just fix
Right.
this.
That's ridiculous.
And I think we just both feel so confident that if it ended, it was probably for the right reason.
Right.
Whether we liked it or not, it happened organically. It
Yeah.
happened because that's what was meant to happen.
That was the path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
So-
see that happening with you two. Like,
No,
how,
I don't either.
why, for what?
Yeah.
No, but
because the things people worry about, you guys have
But
that.
but it
figured
has.
out.
Do you
I'm
guys
like,
follow Aubrey Marcus?
I don't. I need
I've
to.
heard
I've heard about him.
yeah.
Yeah, so he was in an open relationship for 7 years, ironically 7 years. I realized that today when we were talking about the 7-year itch with a woman. And that's why I asked you guys if you ever worry about, you know, somebody else falling in love with somebody else. 'Cause, yeah, he's a big podcaster, he's a big fitness guy, but he's amazing. He's very spiritual. And he, you know, they were very open about it, and they got a lot of slack for it, you know, and because he's a very, very publicized. But they actually broke up after 7 years, like recently, and I couldn't believe it because they were so solid. But I heard through friends that know him that she actually did fall in love with somebody else, which I didn't. I mean, I never saw happening. But you know, the flip side of that, everybody was ripping them, you know, in comments and whatever, like, oh, is it because of the polygamy and this and that? And he actually said, we broke up after 2 years. What kept us together for 7 was the open relationship.
Right.
Right. 'Cause
Right.
That has nothing to do with
Again,
it.
you can say that to anybody that's
Right.
broken up for any reason.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
You know, like,
and that's
was
what
it-
that's
was it
other people
because
would
of
say,
a
like,
secret credit card debt.
Right,
Was it
right.
because of the
gambling problem, yeah.
No, it was probably because, you know, the evolution
Exactly.
of your course ran to a
No matter
place
what
that
you're
didn't work for you
doing.
anymore.
Right.
Period. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But we're not invincible. Like, we have had a few like bumps in the
Obstacles,
road
yeah.
where it was like, whoa, let's pause, get our priorities straight, and we do. And when that happened, it was scary because it's like, holy crap, we're not as like invisible as I thought we were. Here's this very real world problem we're dealing with, and I thought we were above that. So we keep ourselves in check. We know that that's around the corner. I was an explosive breacher on the SWAT team. Playing with explosives is fun for me. I think it's awesome. It's also super dangerous.
Right.
This relationship, we're kind of playing with explosives. It's fun, but it's very volatile. And if you don't follow the steps and double check and take your precautions, you're going to blow yourself up. So
Yeah, and if you're
race
not
car.
smart about it, you know, I mean, again, there's a lot of chemicals that flow into your brain when you meet somebody new. You know, there's dopamine, there's norepinephrine, like there's all these things that happen. So when you meet somebody, it's probably easy and kind of natural to feel like you're falling in love if you have a good connection.
Yeah.
And the better connections you have, the more you can sustain that. So I think it's almost silly and impossible for people who are in an open relationship and are okay to having sex more than once with one person. Like, again, people have rules. Maybe it's like, we only do this, we shut the door,
Right,
and leave.
right.
That's great. But if you're going to maintain some kind of relationship with those people, I think it's kind of silly to think that you're not going to develop some
Sort of feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
because
it's always
everything's
like-
exciting at first.
Yeah.
Aubrey came up with an analogy. I can't take credit for this, but she doesn't
I
put
only
it.
work in analogies.
She doesn't
I don't
tell in
actually have
story
like a
form, so
personality. I just only have analogies.
usually I tell it because it should be a story. So we compare our lifestyle to, imagine when you're a kid, it's your birthday party, everyone comes over, they're watching you open your presents, and you know when you're a kid, there's always that one present you want so bad.
Yeah.
This year it's a remote control race car. That's the present, your main one. You're opening your presents, boom, you got your race car. All your friends see you with that race car, and they're like, oh, he got it. He got the race car. And so I'd start driving it. All my friends are watching, kind of jealous because they want to try the race car too. And you see how much they're liking that, and you're like, do you want to try my race car? And they're like, fuck yeah, I do. So you watch them race your race car around, and you're getting so much joy out of watching like this thing that you love with your friend that you love. They're enjoying it, but you're also like, I can't wait to get my race car back.
Right, exactly.
And then when you get your race car back, you're like, oh, I love it even more because all my friends love it as much as I do, and it's just this great thing.
This is how you drive my race car.
Yeah.
She's my race car.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Yeah, let me show you how to
Because
really
it gives
drive
you
this
joy
thing.
to make other people
Yeah,
happy.
to make other people happy. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Totally.
true. Yeah, that's so funny. Anyway, I think that's it, man. I don't have any more questions.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Awesome.
That was great.
Thanks for
You
having
guys
us.
are great.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for coming, and we hope you guys learned some stuff about open relationships.
Yeah.
All of our listeners, it's Imani, Shakur, Rachel K. Burke.
And if there's any more questions from the listeners, I mean, we live down the street. We'd be happy to come back.
We could definitely do a part 2. We can elaborate,
Cool.
It's relationship, romance, and propaganda. We'll see you guys next Monday. Yeah.
And you're like, when's Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I hope you guys had a good Halloween, too, as well. That's what I wanted to say. That was a few days ago. Anyway, peace.